They've been watching you, but it's not who you think. Not the government, not the secret agents. You're being monitored, every step, every word, every thought. But not for control, for something deeper, something divine. Because when God marks you, heaven watches, but so does hell. You think you've been walking through life unnoticed. You haven't. You were never invisible, just hidden, for a reason, for a time. But now, your time is here, and all eyes are on you. See, the moment you started awakening, something shifted in the spirit realm. Your presence began vibrating on a higher level. You started disturbing systems, breaking patterns, healing wounds that had lived in your bloodline for generations. And that doesn't go unnoticed. Not by angels, not by demons, not by the ancestors who've prayed for your rise, not by the forces that fear your light. You're not being monitored for punishment. You're being monitored because you carry power, and power attracts attention. Your spirit, whether you realize it or not, is sending out signals. You walk into a room, and people feel it before you speak. Some admire it, some envy it, but all of them recognize it. This is why strangers stare. This is why people feel uncomfortable around you without knowing why. Because your energy confronts what they've hidden. Your light exposes what they've suppressed. You're not normal. You're chosen. And that means your life is constantly under divine surveillance, not to harm you, but to guide you. There are angelic forces assigned to your every step. You don't just have luck, you have protection. You don't just make it through, you're being carried. Every accident that almost happened, every breakdown that didn't crush you, every setback that led to a bigger setup was not coincidence. It was alignment. Because you are being washed by the realm that's invested in your becoming. But here's the twist. It's not just heaven that's watching. The enemy watches too. Because every time you resist the temptation to quit, you send a message to hell. I'm still standing. Every time you choose healing over revenge, you rise. Every time you forgive, love, believe, pray, or even breathe in peace, the darkness loses ground. You've been through things that should have broken you, but you didn't break, you bent. And even when you bent, you bowed only to God. Not to fear, not to hate, not to doubt. And that resilience, that spiritual stamina, that's why they watch. They want to know, how did you survive what others didn't? How do you keep shining when your world has been dimmed so many times? How do you keep moving forward with so many wounds in your back? The answer is simple, because you're not walking alone. You never were. Even in your loneliest nights, eyes were on you. Even when you cried silently, heaven heard the sound. Even when you felt abandoned, angels were stationed around your soul. You didn't feel them, but they were there. They saw you stand up again and again, and they rejoiced. Because every rise was another sign. You remember who you are. You see, chosen ones carry something different. You don't need attention to validate you. You don't need crowds to confirm you. You carry evidence. Evidence that God is real. Evidence that purpose outweighs pain. And that evidence is being examined daily by both realms. Your walk, your words, your decisions, they all echo beyond the physical. And here's where it gets real. You're not just being watched to see if you fall. You're being watched to see if you rise. You're not just being monitored for mistakes. You're being monitored for miracles, because the heavens are ready to move through you. Do you understand the level of authority you're stepping into? Do you realize why certain people were removed from your life? Why some doors slammed shut? Why certain relationships suddenly became heavy? It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. Because the realm watching you knew where you were heading. And they cleared the path, whether you understood it or not. Some of the most painful endings were actually divine beginnings. The heartbreak wasn't to destroy you. It was to detox you, to cleanse your heart of distractions, to make space for the divine assignment that's now approaching. And because your soul signed a contract with purpose before your birth, every twist and turn, every season of silence, every wilderness experience was documented, tracked, protected. Even now, as you watch this video, there are forces waiting for your next move. Because the moment you decide to step fully into your assignment, everything changes. The Watchers aren't just looking for entertainment. They're observing evidence of your evolution. They're tracking the moment your knowing activates. And that moment is now. That's why the pressure's been so high. That's why you felt watched. Not by man, but by mission. Because every chosen one comes with a time release calling. And your time is being announced. In silence, in symbols, in subtle signs that only your spirit can decode. You're not crazy. You're awakening. You're not alone. You're surrounded. And you're not falling apart. You're being put together for something bigger than you imagined. The whispers you've heard, the repeated numbers, the dreams that felt too real, the random encounters that shook your spirit. They're not accidents. They're surveillance triggers, clues that the Watchers are signaling. You're getting close. Keep going, because what's coming next is why they've been watching all along. The reason you're still standing after everything thrown at you is because they couldn't figure out your source. They saw the losses, the betrayals, the heartbreaks. They saw the tears, but never the covenant. They witnessed your pain, but never your prayer life. They watched your breaking point, but never saw the one who held you together when no one else could. And that's why you confuse them. Because statistically, you shouldn't even be here. After all the mental battles, after all the spiritual warfare, after all the doors slammed in your face, you didn't just survive. You started glowing. You started tapping into something unexplainable. You started walking with a boldness that didn't come from ego, but from alignment. Now they're watching again, but with fear, because you've stopped doubting yourself. You've stopped watering yourself down. You've stopped explaining your calling to people who were never meant to understand it. And that shift, it created a ripple, not just in your life, but in your bloodline. You're the curse breaker. You're the one they never saw coming. You're the wild card in a deck that was supposed to be stacked against you. And now, every spiritual eye that mocked your potential is watching you walk in it. Not loudly, but purposefully. Not perfectly, but consistently. Some of you are noticing strange things lately. You'll think of someone, and they text. You feel a vibe shift before a conversation even begins. You walk into a place and feel everything. The joy, the fear, the envy, the lies, without a word being spoken. That's not a coincidence. That's your spiritual radar activating. Because chosen ones aren't just watched. They begin to watch back. You've become a watcher too. Not of people, but of patterns. You've stopped being impressed by appearances. You're not fooled by fake energy. You can smell dishonesty like smoke. Because your discernment has been sharpened in the fires you didn't ask for, but survived anyway. And what you're beginning to see is that this monitoring isn't to make you paranoid. It's to make you aware. Because awareness is power. And you can't walk in divine power if you're spiritually asleep. They watch you because you have access. Access to frequencies most people ignore. Access to doors most can't see. Access to grace that covers your name like a seal. And what you're about to unlock isn't just for you. It's for everyone connected to your obedience. That's why this season feels heavier. It's not just about you anymore. You've become a lighthouse. And lighthouses don't hide when the storm comes. They shine brighter. So heaven watches to support you. Hell watches to stop you. And the world watches to follow you. Some are watching in secret. They pretend not to notice, but they mimic your language, your energy, your strength. They listen to your silence. They study your growth. They want to understand how you keep going. But what they don't realize is, you're not moving by logic. You're moved by assignment. And assignment doesn't ask permission. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't wait for comfort. It simply activates when the time is right. And for you, the time is now. Your name is being whispered in rooms you haven't entered. Doors are opening because the realm watching you has confirmed you're ready. Not perfect, but ready. Not flawless, but faithful. You've been proving it quietly. You didn't post your pain. You prayed through it. You didn't fight for attention. You fought for alignment. And now, you're entering the season where the watchers will become the witnesses. Witnesses to the rise that no one could predict, to the glow that no one could dim, to the anointing that no system could replicate. They'll say it was sudden, but heaven knows it was sacred, built in silence, refined in fire, tested in darkness, and revealed only when your roots were strong enough to carry the crown. So keep walking. Even when you feel unseen, understand you are washed. Keep speaking light. Even when the world speaks fear, keep trusting.